What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. This was a super fun game to watch. Early in the game, the Warriors starters, they went up by 9 in the first few minutes. Steph was red hot. He made his first 7 threes, 6 in his first shift. He was just laser locked in from the opening tip. It's funny because the last game of a long road trip is typically a tough one. Like, you're flying home afterwards. You're thinking about your own bed. You're thinking about your family. I have this memory of my last year playing in college at Arizona Christian. We started the season like 12-0, and we were NAIA, and we actually beat an NCAA Division I school in an exhibition before the season. We were really good. And then we had a game against Great Falls, I think was what the school was called, if I remember correctly, but they were a pretty mediocre NAIA team, our last game before winter break. And we were on a 4-game road trip where we were down in Phoenix for the entire week. And I remember in the locker room before the game, everyone was talking about flying home. Everyone was talking about Christmas. Everyone was talking about, what was happening after the game. And we went out and lost. We went out and lost for the first time all season against a bad team because we were on the last game of a long road trip. It's just hard to be away from home for that long, And these NBA teams are on even longer versions of these road trips, even more stressful because they happen multiple times in the same season. In college, typically in non-conference play, you'll face something like that. But once you get into conference play, it's rare for you to be out of town more than 4 or 5 days at a time. Like the 82 game season is really a grind. And it would have been so easy to kind of punt this game, right? A tough game on the road against a Pacers team with Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam that struggled a little bit since the trade, and they kind of need a win. And Steph had no interest in losing this game. He saw an opportunity to notch their 5th win in 6 tries and to stabilize the season, and he went after it. And like the dead giveaway was like he kept doing these no-look plays. Like he made a 3 on the left wing where he got fouled by Andrew Nembhard, and he was turning and complaining at the ref while the ball was in the air. Never actually looked back to check to see if it went in, just complained at the ref and ran back on defense. He had a ball screen with Draymond where he drew a blitz and threw like a over-the-top pass with his left hand. Didn't even look to see Draymond dunk the basketball or to lay it up. He just turned and ran the other way. There's another one where Draymond did a fake dribble handoff and went to the basket. I think that was the one where he dunked it. Soon as the fake dribble handoff happened, Steph just turned around and ran back on defense. Like he was just so locked in on everything that was happening on the floor. It was like he was a step ahead of everybody. It was such an impressive Steph Curry game. He ended up with 10 threes, if I remember correctly. Just as I've been saying, he's just starting to pick up steam. He's really starting to pick up to where he was in the earlier portion of the season. Warriors did a lot of attacking Tyrese Haliburton early in the game as well. Jonathan Kuminga posted him up on the left block and just hit him with a basic jab step, got baseline, kind of bodied him and went up and dunked it 2 hands. Andrew Wiggins got him on a dribble drive in kind of like a semi-transition cross-match situation. Brandon Podziemski got him on a back cut. They were just going right at Tyrese Haliburton, and Tyrese Haliburton's not a good defensive player. And I do believe that Tyrese Haliburton has the potential to be, I think he will be the next great offensive initiator in the game. But the gap between that and the actual top tier superstars in the league is a commitment to those details. And he has the ability to be a better defender than he is. And he just hasn't been very good. Andrew Wiggins, as of late, has been really good. Only 11 points in this game, and so a box score watcher might not think Andrew Wiggins was particularly good, but I thought he did a good job guarding Tyrese Haliburton. He had 7 quick points early in the game, aggressive moves to the basket, hit another big above-the-break 3. He was a big part of that early run that set the tone. He had 5 assists and no turnovers, a couple of really nice driving drop-offs to Draymond, a semi-transition push where he saw Jonathan Kuminga being fronted in the post and gave him a really nice over-the-top feed. I just think Andrew Wiggins has been playing really well. And as I've been saying on the show, like there's a lot to be said about in the event that you weren't going for the home run trade, you're going to gain a lot just by getting Wiggins on track, leaning into Kuminga's growth and seeing what he can bring to the table, right? Chris Paul rejoining the lineup, getting Gary Payton back to kind of anchor your perimeter defense, although the perimeter defense has been so much better as of late. But I think Wiggins for the last couple of weeks has been maybe not in the box score close to what he was in 2022, but I feel like he's trending pretty heavily in that direction. We got 17 more minutes tonight of Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. If you guys remember, I talked about this earlier today in the live show in the trade deadline, breaking down the game last night against Philly. But that Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins front line has been super successful for the Warriors in the last 10 games. And on the season now, they have 182 minutes together. They are plus 90. In tonight's game, they had a 135 offensive rating and 87 defensive rating. A plus 48 net rating tonight. They were plus 17 in 17 minutes. Like, it's already their second best lineup of the entire season. Plus 90 in 182 minutes. The only lineup that's better is Chris Paul, Dario Saric, and Brandon Podziemski as a three-man grouping. They're plus 91 in 235 minutes. Give the Warriors one more game, and they'll be their best lineup of the season already. And you remember, Steve Kerr came out early in the season and said that lineup was struggling, and they were. Like, they've just been so incredibly good over the last 10 games. That same group dominated the end of the second quarter and the early third quarter, just like they did against the Sixers. Once again, just like they did against the Sixers, they blew the game open in that third quarter. As a matter of fact, it's starting to look a lot more like the old Warriors in the way they used to win, blowing teams out in third quarter runs. They have a plus 31 net rating in the third quarters of this 6-game stretch. They're outscoring teams by 31 points per 100 possessions, plus 47 points total in the 6-game stretch. They're averaging winning the third quarter by 8 points over this span. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the bench group. This group is kind of a funky lineup. Brandon Podziemski, Lester Quinones, Jonathan Kuminga, Guy Santos, and Dario Saric. They played super hard, dominated the glass. Here's a crazy stat for you. They grabbed 86% of their opponent's misses in 7 minutes tonight. They grabbed 80% of their own misses. They got an offensive rebound on 80% of their own misses in today's game. That group. And like, I talk about this concept all the time, but like high motor athletes in the NBA regular season in particular, you got to lean on them. They can win you games. Guy Santos is just a big dude who plays super hard. That is super valuable. Like, Brandon Podziemski has been one of the best rebounding guards in the league this year, just continually grabbing highly contested rebounds. Came right out the gate this year, tonight. Like in the first 2 possessions, had a big offensive rebound that hit Steph for his first 3. Literally, Steph's first 3 came off of Brandon Podziemski offensive rebound. He helped trigger that start to the game. Had a big defensive rebound on the first possession too. Like, it's just, that lineup is kind of funny because Podziemski kind of organizes them, and he did a nice job running the offense, but they just play super damn hard and they dominate the glass. They grew the lead to 20 plus while Steph was on the bench. Super encouraging. I mean, they're back up to 24 and 25. Feels like they have real momentum for the first time this season. And it's not just because they've won 5 out of 6. They've had stretches this year where they've won some games, but it's because they've actually found some stuff. They've actually found some lineup groupings that work. It feels like they're starting to get to their 5. And again, it's kind of like the Bucks, where it depends on who you're going to play at the 2 there, whether it's Clay or Brandon Podziemski. But it feels like the core 4 around the 5 is Steph, Kuminga, Wiggins, and Green. That's your core lineup. That feels sustainable to me. There's a large sample size there. That's 182 minutes of that front line of them being dominant. That's a real sustainable thing. Now, they're going to be, just like I said last year, earlier this year, they're just like the Lakers last year. They're going to have to rip off, 15 out of 25 games to give themselves a better chance at a playoff path, because I think it's going to be important for them to get in the top part of that play-in tournament bracket in that 7 or 8 zone. And I think they're 3.5 games back right now of the 8 seed, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it's important for them to get up there, because if they can win one of those games, you're probably going to have a chance against you're going to have basically a 50-50 chance of getting a younger, inexperienced team like the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Clippers, who, obviously have had issues getting to the playoffs healthy, staying healthy in the playoffs. And when they get to the playoffs, they lean heavily on pull-up jump shooting and have shown some flaws in the past. I'm high on the Clippers, but the point is there are some beatable teams there at the top of the conference. The Timberwolves have been really bad in late game situations and clutch situations as of late. I think that's a thing the Warriors could capitalize on. The Thunder are young and small. I think that's the thing the Warriors could capitalize on. So, like, if they can get up into that play-in tournament, there's, I think it's a long shot for this team to win the title, obviously, just because they're young and they don't really have a legitimate secondary star next to Steph, but they have a chance to make some noise. And they're really starting to pick up some steam at this point in the season.